Right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Community in Citrus Heights. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now.
Thank you, Lisa, and welcome everyone. Welcome to those who have joined us live on Zoom, those who have joined us live on Facebook, and those who will join us later on YouTube and our website. It is a marvelous group that we are having join us in our service today. Let us begin with an opening prayer. Take a deep breath and just sigh it out. And as you sigh it out, picture all of the stress and the fatigue, the isolation, the anxiety floating out of you and being released into space. Know that you chose to be here for this remarkable time in history. You chose and you were chosen. That those of us who are here have the fortitude, the faith, the love, and the understanding to be a positive force in our world and in our universe. That we, with our positive vision, will add to the positive outcome for all concerned. For this understanding, we are grateful and we say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen. We decided to add a little bit of spice this morning, and I asked Lisa if she was willing, and she said yes. Good old Lisa. So we're going to turn the service over for her for a special little presentation. Lisa.
All right. So, a minister was walking down the street one day when he came upon a group of about a dozen boys, all of them between 10 and 12 years of age. The group had surrounded a dog. Concerned in case the boys were hurting the dog, he went over and asked, "What are you doing with that dog?" One of the boys replied, "This dog is just an old neighborhood stray. We all want him, but only one of us can take him home. So we've decided that whichever one of us can tell the biggest lie will get to keep the dog." Of course, the Reverend was taken aback. "You boys shouldn't be having a contest telling lies," he exclaimed. He then launched into a 10-minute sermon against lying, beginning with, "Don't you boys know it's a sin to lie?" and ending with, "Why, when I was your age, I never told a lie." There was dead silence for about a minute. Just as the Reverend was beginning to think he'd gotten through to them, the smallest boy gave a deep sigh and said, "All right, give him the dog." So that was just a little levity for this morning. And now I'm going to do a little song for you. And this song is just especially pertinent to this time, especially as we may encounter just, a little bit of concern about our own bodies and what's going on in the world. So this is a kid's song called "Every Little Cell." And I want you to sing it to yourself throughout the week, anytime you may worry. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad, I feel so good. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad, I feel so good. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad, I feel so good. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad, I feel so good. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad, I feel so good. Every little cell in my body is well. I'm so glad, I feel so good. Every little cell in my body is well. And so it is. All right. So we move now into reading our daily word. Today is Sunday, April 19th, 2020. And today's word is understanding. The word for the day is understanding. I open myself to spiritual understanding. Let's breathe into that. I open myself to spiritual understanding. When I feel frustrated by a personal or professional challenge, or feel unsafe or concerned about a situation or event, I seek greater understanding. When I try to understand, I open my heart. Maybe I just need to gather more information or request the advice of someone I trust. If I'm in conflict with someone, I practice understanding by listening with a curious mind and loving heart. I grow in spiritual understanding when I discern and heed my inner guidance. Beyond conscious thought, spiritual truth begins to illuminate my consciousness. As I release all that stands in the way of understanding and stand firm in the love that calls it forth, I am guided by my growing spiritual understanding. The scripture is from Psalm 119, verse 144. Your decrees are righteous forever. Give me understanding that I may live. And we take those words into our time of prayer this morning. This is the time when in our service we usually bless our prayer box where we have left prayers for those we love, for ourselves, and for the world. And we know that we still have those prayers, and we imagine that prayer box this morning. We imagine mentally slipping those prayers into that prayer box where they are blessed by our congregation, by our prayer chaplains, and also sent to Unity Worldwide, Unity, where they'll, Silent Unity, where they will be blessed for 30 days. We open our hearts this morning to understanding as we have these concerns. We have concerns that seem so valid and we don't understand. But as we open ourselves to inner guidance, and as we open our inner eyes to the understanding that comes through dwelling in the silence with the Christ within, we gather our faith and our strength and open to that divine understanding, which allows us to know that all is well and that we are at peace. We release these concerns into the loving care of the Christ Spirit this morning. And so it is. Amen. And now, will you please join me in a time of meditation? Oh, Spirit, guide me deep inside me. Take me to my heart place, a place of ease and grace. Breathe in this moment, this sacred moment. I am peace. I am renewed.
As we become still for a time of meditation, let us settle into our seats and take a deep breath. Exhale and repeat. We celebrate this spring day in 2020, knowing that we have entered a new age. It is a time of beginnings and also a time of recommitment to our roots. Take a moment to feel the generations of thinkers, of philosophers, of writers and teachers, of healers and spiritual leaders who paved the way to this Sunday service. Know that you are part of a great heritage of Christian belief and New Thought practice. Think back over more than 100 years to the pioneering work of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. Know that they were outstanding leaders in publishing, radio, prayer, and metaphysics. They attracted like-minded men and women and created a movement that changed the face of Christianity. With clarity of thought and integrity in action, they brought about a way of life that has healed so many, including so many of us attending this very service. We are not alone. We are sustained by our ancestors in unity. We are part of the web of new thought centers throughout the world. There is an invisible network of support that transcends time and space, providing wisdom, comfort, and guidance for those of us who have chosen this path. Unity. It is a beautiful teaching that leads into greater understanding and purpose. Unity. It is an idea whose time has come. Let us share a moment of gratitude for those who prepared the way in the silence. For those who traveled before us, for those who walk beside us, and for the generations yet to come, we are grateful. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Oh, Spirit, guide me deep inside me. Take me to my heart place, the place of ease and grace. Breathe in this moment, this sacred moment. I am peace. I am renewed. Where I am, God is. Where I stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. As me, where I see, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing free in and out and through me. As me, for where I doubt, God is the faith in me. Where I cry,
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning again, everyone. At this time of the year and at this time of history, it seems appropriate that we return to our roots, that we establish how we became unity, what unity teaches, what unity has to offer for the future. When we are in the post-Easter period, it is a time of rebirth. And when we're in the time of Corona, we know that the world will never be the same, and it too is a rebirth. So we will be gaining understanding of the unity movement and the teachings therein. And I wanted to begin by sharing a letter which was written to Bishop John Shelby Spong. Bishop Spong was, and he's retired now, he was the Episcopal Bishop of Newark, New Jersey for more than 20 years, one of the leading spokespersons in the world for an open, scholarly, and progressive Christianity. Bishop Spong taught at Harvard and at the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley. Among the books he wrote are Rescuing the Bible from Fundamentalism, Liberating the Gospels, and Why Christianity Must Change or Die. The following is an excerpt from a letter that was written to him and his reply to that letter. Dear Bishop Spong, I have recently found the Unity Church and started attending services. I'm interested to know what your opinion is of the Unity Church, from a woman named Valerie. And the bishop replied, Dear Valerie, thank you for your letter. I am glad that you found unity. I think it is one of the most exciting movements within the Christian world today. Unity traces its roots to Mary Baker Eddy and what we once called the Christian Science movement. It has, however, evolved well beyond its origins. It is distinctively Christian, but they have managed to escape the traditional Christian obsession with sin, guilt, rescue, and control. They teach the goodness of God's creation, the capacity of human beings to grow spiritually, and they avoid dated concepts like sacrifice and the sacredness of shed blood. I have found their clergy to be bright, well-trained, open, and positive. That's my favorite line. The things that attract me to Unity are their dedication to education, the consistently high quality of their music, their commitment to affirm their children rather than to make them feel inadequate, their care for one another, and the joy that permeates Unity worship. I don't know that Unity will be the future of Christianity, but I do believe that the Christianity of the future will have many of the marks of unity within it. I find that many people are like you. They discover unity when they awaken to what Christianity can be and then compare it to what they experience in many other churches on Sunday morning. I am deeply grateful for what Unity has done for me and for the way that Unity has enriched my life. And Valerie, I wish you well on your journey, from Bishop John Shelby Spong. It's nice that we got that opinion from somebody who is from a different lineage in the Christian faith. And we got those affirming words. I personally love Unity. I love Unity. It saved my life. Unity gave me purpose and answered my questions. It restored my relationship with Jesus and with the Bible. The basic teachings of unity and of Charles Fillmore have never failed me. And no matter how far out I go in my own spiritual studies, I find Charles Fillmore waiting for me at the end of the road every time. We sometimes confuse technology with civilization or with advanced thought, and we wonder how anything was understood before quantum theory. Yet the most amazing aspect of quantum physics is that it allowed the physicists to catch up with the metaphysicians. Truth, big T truth, is eternal. It has always been available to those who seek it. You may not find it on Facebook, but occasionally I do see glimpses of it. And once in a while, you can find it on TV. It is usually found the same way it has always been found, and that is through prayer and meditation. That is through knowing that each human being has a direct connection with what Charles Fillmore called headquarters. That you can ask in meditation and prayer, and you will have the answers provided to you. The greatest thinkers in history, like Plato and Pythagoras, St. Paul, and Charles Fillmore, predated the technology that we label as progress. So beginning today, we're going to have a set of Sunday lessons based on lessons in truth. This is a book called The Complete Works of Emilie Cady. It includes lessons in truth, how I use truth, and God, a present help. You can find the book Lessons in Truth on a website called truthunity.net. And this is really a wonderful thing. You can get it in an audio version on YouTube. Just go into YouTube, put in Lessons in Truth in the YouTube search, and there's a very nice woman who will read the entire book to you. Sometimes with these old-timing books, the language is such that it's better to have it read out loud. It's sometimes better if you read it out loud yourself. That's what I do when I'm reading Charles Fillmore. I understand it better if I can put in the phrases and the clauses and the sentences the way they were designed to be understood. Lessons in Truth is considered to be the basic text of the Unity movement. It is second only to the Bible. It was written by Dr. Harriet Emilie Cady, who was born in 1848. She was one of the first women physicians in New York and a student of Emma Curtis Hopkins. Everybody was a student of Emma Curtis Hopkins. She was one of the pioneers in the New Thought movement. Cady wrote a pamphlet called Finding the Christ in Ourselves. And Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of the Unity movement, read that pamphlet. Emilie Cady never even went to Unity Village. She was commissioned by the Fillmores to write a series of articles for Unity magazine. These articles have been compiled into the book Lessons in Truth. There are 12 lessons. It is not a very big book. The first chapter, which we're focusing on today, is entitled Bondage or Liberty, which? Bondage or liberty, which? It could be limitation or freedom, which? And this phrase, bondage or liberty, which, is so well known among Unity students that we make jokes about it. We will ask people like, in your tea, sugar or lemon, which? And so we begin. Cady wrote, Every man believes himself to be in bondage to the flesh and to the things of the flesh. All suffering is the result of this belief. Well, once we get past the outdated wording, we realize that this statement that we believe we are in bondage to the flesh is the opposite of knowing that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Believing we're in bondage to the flesh means we are victims of the world, of disease, of poverty. It denies the Christ within and the creative power of thought. And one of the results of this bondage is what we call lack thinking, believing there is not enough. And this all adds up to we have forgotten who we are, that we are the living sons and daughters of God Almighty, that our mission in life is to live as God would live, knowing that that is the truth of us. And so I would wonder how we can apply this in today's world. Sometimes we get so lost in the language of these old books and the quotes from the Bible that it escapes us. How is this relevant? And the approach I'm taking today is to use examples from my own life. When we are in bondage, it means that we are accepting limiting beliefs that bind us, beliefs that we don't even know that we accept. We're in bondage to false beliefs. And so I wanted to share with you a couple of amazing experiences I've had just in the past week. You ready? This is Dairy Gold old-fashioned chocolate milk. Ashley is smiling because she brought me 3 half-gallons of it this week from Safeway. I was so happy. I'm still happy about it. It is delicious. It has pure ingredients. It corrects my blood sugar. It makes my toes curl. I drink it and I sit and I smile because every little cell in my body is happy. It is so important to me. If I wake up in the middle of the night and my blood sugar has crashed, I can go get some chocolate milk, and I don't want any old 2% chocolate milk. No, I want this old-fashioned full-fat chocolate milk. I do most of my grocery shopping at Walmart. Walmart over the years has often not had this in stock. It does occasionally have it in stock, and it became a real point of stress for me when I did my grocery shopping, of wondering if there would be Dairy Gold chocolate milk at Walmart today. I would almost hold my breath until I got to the dairy counter to see, and then if they did it, well, let's just say it's not the first time that 3 half-gallons of it made their way to my house. I had accepted some limitations there, and I did not even know that I had accepted them. It dawned on me a few days ago to do a Google search on Dairy Gold old-fashioned chocolate milk and see where it could be bought. Guess what? They have it at Safeway. I asked Ashley, go to Safeway, please. I need dog food and chocolate milk. Now, do you see how I had struggled and deprived myself actually for several years of believing in lack, of accepting a limitation that didn't really exist? It was a false limitation. It was a limitation that I did not know I was imposing on myself, because there is plenty of Dairy Gold chocolate milk to be had if you know where to look. But this story gets even better, thanks to my friend in the chocolate carton. Since we've been homebound, I have wanted to use the feature where you can do a grocery list online and then pick up your groceries curbside. I live next door to a Walmart and they offer that service. I had tried twice to go into their website and create a list. Frustrated, gave up both times. What I had done is I put in the search screen Dairy Gold chocolate milk, and it never came up. It's not one of their major sellers. I would put in Dairy Gold chocolate milk and they'd show me a screen with pictures of 6 different kinds of chocolate milk, none of which I would buy. I would get frustrated. I would think this is a lousy website and it's not designed well and I can't do it and I can't figure it out and it's going to take me too much time, and I would give up. Never did I get my list in, and never have I been able to use curbside pickup at Walmart. Well, with the comfort of having 3.5 gallons of this chocolate milk in my refrigerator, I decided to give it another try. I did not search this time for chocolate milk. I watched a little video they had on how to use this website. Can you believe that you can just watch the video and it says this is how you do it? And I went in and created a list that is going to be picked up today between 5 and 6 p.m. Over $200 worth of groceries, everything I wanted. They had very few things that were not in stock. The list was easy to create. It was easy to add items to it later. It was just plain easy. See, I had created another limitation. I was in bondage to my beliefs that this was hard, that I couldn't master it, that there was a lack of it. And none of these things were true. None of them existed outside of what I had created in my world. This is bondage. This is how these teachings that we're discussing can be applied in real life, even in our restricted situation today. God is present. Our lessons in truth are present. The other part, now that we've discussed bondage, has to do with liberty, has to do with freedom. How can we live from the truth of our inner Christ? How can we live as God would live in this world and therefore manifest the kingdom of heaven? Cady stresses forgiveness. None of these teachings are new. If you've been around Unity for a while, this whole talk will sound familiar to you because Lessons in Truth is our basic textbook. And things that we teach have their roots there many, many, many times. So let's talk about forgiveness and a couple of real life examples. My landlord, without my permission, pruned the trees in my backyard and nearly destroyed them. It is something I'm working very diligently to let go, to get over. He did not do this to hurt me. He did this because he thought it needed to be done. We talk about prayer in Unity and the different kinds of prayer: affirmative prayer, supplicating prayer, which is when you're asking God to do something. The type of prayer I use most often is a prayer for understanding. How can I forgive this landlord for doing something that hurt me so much? Dear God, please show me how to forgive. And I used this prayer just a few days ago. And then I took a shower. You know, I'm a triple Pisces. Things happen to me when I'm in water. Showers, bathtubs, swimming pools. I love the water. So I was taking a shower, and for no good reason at all, I started thinking about when I was in my early 20s. I was in a love triangle, and it was very painful. Two women loved the same man, and I was one of them. I was so mean to that other woman. I did things I should not have done. And I did things deliberately to hurt her and to hurt him. The message I got was, if I can forgive myself and expect to be forgiven for things I did deliberately to hurt people, then I can forgive my landlord who did not do this deliberately to hurt me. I thought about the Lord's Prayer and the line in the Lord's Prayer that says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. That means forgive us for times that we hurt other people, and let us forgive those who have hurt us also. That was a real lesson for me this week. It had to do with liberty. It had to do with freedom. It had to do with living as God in the world. And the story did not stop there. This story's got 2 more chapters I'm going to share with you. I went out in the backyard about 10 days ago, and there were 2 doves flying away, kind of scattered because I'd come out the back door. They sat on top of the fence and looked out at the yard, and of course, I read all kinds of things into it. Who knows what the doves were really thinking or feeling, but I projected my feelings on them and knew that the tree they usually made their nests in had basically been halfway cut down. And the doves looked very concerned to me. Then I noticed that they had made a nest on top of the bookshelf outside of my back door. They got used to my dog and my cat. They got used to me coming out. I did research on doves and found out that both the male and the female do the brooding. They take turns. One takes the day shift and one takes the night shift. I've learned to tell the difference between the male and the female. I always talk to them. I can look at them out the window and they'll look back. And I thought, this is an unexpected blessing that came from pruning of the trees, that the doves chose to make their nest much closer to the door up on the top of this bookcase. And I am part now of the experience of their eggs being hatched. And I thought, well, you never can tell, what good is going to come from a situation. That's chapter 2. Chapter 3 of this story. My neighbor, who shares a fence with me, has a cat, and he is adorable. He's a small black and white, a tuxedo cat. He really likes my yard. He comes over all the time. But know that I've got doves on a nest now, and I went outside and I caught him trying to climb the bookcase, the shelves that the nest is on. And I thought, I'm really going to be upset if anything happens to these doves or their eggs. So I went over, and there's a hole he goes through at the bottom of the fence, and I put some big rocks in front of it so he couldn't use it. When I went out in a day or 2, those rocks were gone, and I suspected that my neighbor had moved them. She and I have a history of friction, shall we say. Then I decided to block the hole again, and I took over some bricks. And as I was placing them, I heard her say, "That's not going to stop the cat from getting in your yard." Well, yes, it's true, but I was hoping that it would slow the cat down. And then I had this reaction like, why do I have neighbors like this? She's not the first one. It seems like I often have neighbors that irritate me, at least one set. What am I going to do about it? What could I say to her? I don't even want to talk to her about it. I like the cat, but it's just a very difficult situation. Then I open the book, Lessons in Truth, and this is what I read. Do not be under bondage to false beliefs about your circumstances or environment. God is in everything that happens to you. No matter how evil circumstances may appear, or how much it may seem that some other personality is at the foundation of your sorrow or trouble, God, good alone, is real and is real there. Oh boy. Well, it really does fit with what Unity teaches, that we create our reality with our beliefs. There's no exceptions. We're not victims. We're not victims of the big mean things. We're not victims of the little irritable things. We have to find another way of being in the world. So I'm going to read one more quote about this forgiveness. Again, in this new way that we have undertaken, this living the life of spirit instead of the old life, we need to seek always to have more and more of the Christ spirit of meekness and love incorporated into our daily life. You know, I was having fantasies about putting Black Widow spiders in my landlord's car when he wasn't looking. I'm just real negative thinking about it. Cady goes on to say, meekness does not mean servility, but it means a spirit that could stand before a pilot of false accusation and say nothing. No one else is so grand, so godlike as he who, because he knows the truth of being, can stand meekly and unperturbed before the false accusations of the human mind. And then she quotes from 2 Samuel, thy gentleness hath made me great. That is freedom. That is the liberty part of bondage or liberty, which of limitation or freedom, which. Now it seems like these might be insignificant little problems in a life. You know, chocolate milk, pruning a tree, a neighbor that you don't see eye to eye with. It seem like they are everyday irritations. And yet we need to realize that nothing is mundane, that everything is sacred, that these events happen for the same reason every event happens. They follow the same principles of God, the same big T truth, the eternal unchanging law. We become aware of how to live as God, to be free from bondage, and to claim our birthright of liberty. And when we do, then we can remember that we are the expressions of the living Christ. And we can allow this consciousness to express through us, this consciousness so beautifully explained in just these few lines of verse by William Blake. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower. To hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. And thus ends the lesson. God bless you all.
And in the spirit of liberty. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I There are no chains that bind you. You are free. You are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free. We are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free. We are unlimited. Right now, right now. We are free. We are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free. We are unlimited. Right now, right now. And now, as we prepare for our love offering, let's take this moment to affirm that God is our supply, that all substance is of God, and that there is always enough, that we are supported in every situation, no matter what stories our mind may tell us. We give thanks for our community, which is a sanctuary where we can celebrate life together, where we're enlightened with and by each other, including every person, no matter what their path. From the words of Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, we serve for the joy of serving, and prosperity flows to us and through us in rippling streams of plenty. We're grateful for the opportunity to support Unity Spiritual Community today, to enable it to be a force for good in our lives and in our world. We give thanks as we bless our gifts. Amen. And please join me in Unity's prosperity prayer, knowing that divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I choose to give, and all that I am open to receive. Thank you, God. Amen. You can find a donate button on our website where you can donate through PayPal by your Visa card or debit card. And our website is worldwideweb.unitycitrusheights.org, or you can mail a check to us at P.O. Box 2176, Citrus Heights, California 95611. We are very grateful for these offerings, and we know that Unity Spiritual Community is a center of the Christ love, mighty to attract good and to radiate good to others. So it is.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. So I wanted to share a few announcements with you this morning. First, I wanted to give you an update on my health. I've been having a problem, a GI problem, for about a month now. Today, I finished a 7-day course of antibiotics, and I am better. I'm not well yet. I'm probably going to have another telephone appointment with my doctor in the next couple of days and maybe get a refill on the prescription. It's been especially challenging with all of the technical changes we're doing with our Sunday services. It's something that I've had to conquer 1 week at a time and get better in many ways 1 week at a time. So I will keep you posted, and hopefully we'll move through this together. I mentioned earlier that Lessons in Truth is available on truthunity.net. This is in our newsletter. We send out a newsletter. It has a lot of wonderful links in it, including a link that you can just click on for truthunity.net. You can read it there online, or you can download a PDF version. And I mentioned in the talk that there is an audio version on YouTube. You can just get on YouTube and do a search on Lessons in Truth. You're good to go. The woman's got a very nice voice, too. And while we're on the subject of limitation, this is a book that just was released called The Masters of Limitation. It is by Daryl Anka. It was dictated by Bashar. Bashar is a Sassani from an alternate version of reality. The Sassani people call human beings masters of limitation for the same reason that Emilie Cady wrote Bondage or Liberty, which these are not new ideas, they're not new problems. These are the situations that humans need to overcome, that we've always needed to overcome. So if you have an interest for this kind of viewpoint on it, I would encourage you to order this book and read it. It is delicious. I wanted to address our Lenten quarter drive. We have in the past collected quarters every Sunday during Lent, and then on Easter, put them all together and bought microloans with them so that we could bless people all over the world. Last week, we decided that we would just continue collecting our quarters until we are together again. And what I suggest is that you get a container at home that you like and that is pretty, and you use it to collect your quarters in. I have added coins other than quarters because I don't get out much and I don't get many quarters. So you might want to just collect your change for the duration. Then when we are together in person again, we'll put them in one big pile and decide who we're going to bless with them. The last announcement is that we are in the habit of, at the end of the service, staying on Zoom and open up everybody's microphone, having a time to chat and check in, maybe share a coffee together. So we invite you to do that and to stay and spend a little social time with us today and every Sunday. So at this time, I'm going to invite Lisa to lead us in the peace song.
As we virtually join hands, weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together, and let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyful vow, to take each moment and live each moment peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
For our prayer of protection, we know that the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
We got a good thing going on around here. We got a good thing going on around here. You can see it on each and every face. There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place. We got a good thing going on around here. We got a good thing going on. We got a good thing going on. We got a good thing going on. We got a good thing.